You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is we'll do it live. Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000. My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't chase me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Cian, wake up. Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, everybody. This is Brin here for Nerd to Know Media on Phoenix 92.5 FM, and this is Nerd to Know Media's newest episode on episode 52, and I am joined, as always, by my wonderful co-hosts.
Cian I'm thrilled to be here, as always.
And Darragh O'Connor, hey guys, what's up?
Right, guys, so we have a pretty packed week for you this week. Darragh, do you want to start off with your news?
Yeah, so first things first, I've actually discovered the only good licensed game in a very long time, and the best
Whoa.
And the best Terminator game in a long time.
I mean, most Terminator games are cursed, so that's it's not a long list of
a high bar, like.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, right? I thought that too.
Yeah.
And then I started playing this game, and I got it on Amazon for like 20 quid. I'm like, all right, you know, I love Terminator. I don't know why I love Terminator, I just do. And I'm like, okay, I'll just play it. And then as I'm going through, I'm like, this game is actually very, very good, like ridiculously good. Well, it should be, because, you know, it's like, this should be hot garbage, and it's not. It's like, and then as I was going through, Jim Sterling actually also was of this opinion, which surprises me. It's basically like a really, really good Fallout mixed with Terminator stuff.
Okay. That sounds oddly intriguing.
Right? It's crazy. And the thing about it is, it's like the budget, obviously there was very little budget, so it doesn't have a lot of polish. The graphics aren't great, but they're not bad. But it, like, where it shines, it has a crafting system, has a great upgrade tree, the combat's pretty good, really good stealth sections, and, you know, it feels like a lived-in world too. Characters aren't great. It has some pretty good relationships that you can have with the characters as well, and it really kind of ticks all those boxes that as a Terminator fan you want, but also as a fan of RPGs you would enjoy as well. The only criticism I can say to it is that it wasn't given enough time for polish, but it can't, because this thing was probably like, hey, this is going to fail, let's put it out there. So I can't really hold it against it, but I find it ironic that it's more Fallout than Fallout is now.
So it's just like,
because of 76,
when you say Fallout, are you talking like the original isometric Fallout game?
No. I mean, like, you know, the Bethesda games. So from Fallout 4 to like
Fallout
76
was the first Bethesda game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, then you mentioned that it's a low budget game. How is there a low budget Terminator game? Terminator's like a multi-million-dollar franchise, isn't it?
Not anymore, dude. It's a dying franchise. You know, that's what I mean. Like, it's a franchise that never should have been a franchise. I personally like the Terminator movies, no matter how bad they are, with the notable exception of the new one.
I'm a fierce Terminator apologist.
Yeah, me too. And I didn't realize I was.
Yeah,
but
I've got the Sarah Connor Chronicles on DVD. It's my jam.
That's a great series, though.
That's a great show, dude.
You know?
Oh yeah, but no one's heard of it.
Yeah, except for people like Terminator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What I find interesting about this is like, I didn't hear about this game coming out. There was literally zero hype. And then I saw like a playthrough, like a couple of footage of him. I'm like, oh, looks all right. And I saw a couple of reviews when it came out, and it was like €60. I'm like, I'm not paying €60 for that. And then it just happened to be up on Amazon for a cheap enough price, and I picked it up. And when I popped it in, it stayed in my PS4 for the past like 2.5 weeks. And for context, that horrible train wreck, nightmare fuel, terrible, awful game that sullies the Star Wars name, Fallen Order, stayed in my PS4 for exactly 4 hours, and now it's in the corner of shame. So, you know.
Oh.
I'm gonna break your heart here. Both my brother and my future brother-in-law are playing Fallen Order, and both love it.
You're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong. That's okay.
Well, I haven't played Fallen Order yet, but all I'll say on it is like it's not going to be alone in the bad Star Wars pile.
Yeah, it's top of it.
Yeah, it's top of it new. Like you, but
it's just like okay, right. In very much the same. See, you've done it. Well, no, hold on. Who brought up Star Wars? Did I bring up Star Wars?
You did, yeah. You did, yeah. Well done. How long is that? 4 minutes. That's 4 minutes, Darren.
I need to ring a bell whenever the Star Wars comes up, like.
Because I'm aware of what's going to happen here, so I'm like, who brought it up? At least it's me, and I can blame myself.
We need to get like a constant tracker just to see like how long we can get in each episode without Star Wars being mentioned.
All right, I'll keep this short. What I mean is like Fallen Order had the aesthetics of what someone would think a Star Wars game is, right? Without any of the depth.
Right.
It's a beautiful looking game. It has, the noises and packaging of Star Wars, but it's missing that kind of if factor that other games had, unless you're an Uncharted fan. And if you're an Uncharted fan, you're probably going to love it. I just hate Uncharted games. I can't stand them. I really can't. So for me and for a lot of other people who don't like that game, it's missed the mark in that way. And in past couple of years, Lucasfilm would make loads of different types of Star Wars games, so you could take your pick. Now we're limited, so that's probably why I have such a distaste for it. But
I see. So if there was a broader range of Star Wars games, it wouldn't bother you as much. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct. Like, so going back to 2005.
Yeah.
It was like, you had Battlefront 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2. Yeah, exactly. Republic Commando, the Revenge of the Sith game. There's 4, right? And you could just pick whatever one you want, and they were relatively new. So if you didn't like one, you could pick another. Now we're limited, but this is the first real Star Wars game that's out in a very long time. It's the first single-player game, and it's
like the same problem that they had at the earlier part of the last decade, where when they had the Force Awakens out, or the Force Unleashed out. They only had those games, so you're going, well, I want a next generation experience of Star Wars. This is all you're giving me, and if you don't really like it, well, you're kind of screwed because it's the only thing that's out.
Well, see, that's it. Like I like the Force Awakens. No, sorry, I hate the Force Awakens. I like the Force Unleashed.
Thanks for the soundbite, though.
Let's use that as context.
I'm the one who edits the show, so
Oh damn!
Still edit the shows afterwards, Darren.
But no, what I mean is like I really liked what the Force Unleashed did. For me that was like ultimate dark side, light side, Jedi powers. The cook who's in that Fallen Order game, he's not a Jedi. He is a total little wuss, and you look at him and he'd run away. So I can't stand him. He's the most unlikable character in the saga.
To be fair, you didn't like him before the game came out.
Oh no, yeah,
I think that's the most punchable person in history, or something like that.
Yeah, and that's got progressively worse. So I could only stand him for 4 hours, and I'm like, all right, we're done now. And I paid €90 for the pleasure. This is like when I saw Slipknot 2 weeks ago, and I walked out halfway through because Slipknot were so bad live after paying €90 for a ticket. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, getting the controversy in early. How come?
Oh, because okay, the reason was Jim Root, the guitar player, has discovered a wah pedal, and he just would not stop using the wah pedal the entire time. So I was like, I have to leave before you start getting to your good songs. So yeah. But yeah, so the disappointment is real. But what surprised me about the Terminator game, right, is the fact that I had absolutely no expectations. And
Well, I think that's always the best way to get into anything, though. When you're
it is, yeah, it is. But like what I mean is, like, I've played loads of Terminator games: Dawn of Fate, Terminator 3. Actually, to be fair, the last good Terminator game I can think of is RoboCop vs Terminator for the Mega Drive.
So good,
isn't it?
Sorry, RoboCop versus Terminator? Is that a thing?
Oh man, yes it is.
So good.
It's the best. Sorry, go on, Brian, you hype it up.
Like the RoboCop versus Terminator is not only the best Terminator game, but it's also the best RoboCop game. It's like it is so fantastically great. If I remember correctly, it was on the Mega Drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the Mega Drive, right? Okay, Cian, I'll give you the elevator pitch. RoboCop goes back in time, right?
Right.
Terminator goes back in time, right? And you're basically going through Detroit fighting all gangs and stuff. And throughout the game, you kind of progress forward and backwards through time as RoboCop.
Okay.
So you got your help the human resistance and all that kind of stuff. But it's so gloriously violent. Like, there's just blood everywhere. The weaponry is fantastic. You get to fight not only Terminators, but also all the bad guys from RoboCop. The weaponry is awesome. You get to use ray guns and all that kind of stuff. Look, if you haven't played it, play it, Cian. It's on the Raspberry Pi. So do play it.
Oh, lovely. So it's waiting for me, is it?
Waiting for you, yeah. And it's one of those games. Like,
excellent.
I got it when I was like 5, and my dad loved it. So I've been playing that game for like 26 years now.
I remember.
And I still play it. I was playing it during the week. It's just an absolutely spectacular game. But that shows you how long it's been since you could actually say that about a Terminator game. This one, while it's completely different, it has that kind of hook, you know? Like, the start of it's a bit not great because you're completely underpowered, but as soon as you get a way to fight the Terminators with the ray gun, you're like, cool, or with the plasma rifle, you're like, this is cool, you actually have to do stuff. But, it has a cool hacking mechanic, so you can actually, like, hack turrets and get them to fight for you. Cool lockpicking mechanic. It's pretty much the lockpicking mechanic from Skyrim. It has something for everybody, and it's, for the price point, it's better than a lot of other games. Like, as I said, Fallen Order lasted 4 hours. This has been on my PS4 for 2 weeks, and up until that point, no other game other than Battlefront 2 was able to do that, because Battlefront 2 is what I play most of the time anyway. So I would say check it out if anyone hasn't done so.
And I heard this game has like multiple endings. Is that true, or like branching paths or something like that?
Yeah. So
tell us a bit about that then. How does it work?
So basically, like, if you fail, you die, right? But you can also take choices that open up different options. So, like, I haven't completed it now, so full disclosure, I do know what happens because I watched the full video on it. But from what I gather, I think there's like 4 to 6 different endings.
Okay.
So it really is quite deep because it's a full Terminator story inside of this action game, where the Terminators come back to kill you because you're very important, but it's also in the future. So it's it really is quite a good hooky movie without being too. It just shows, for example, that like the Terminator franchise, the future isn't in what we've seen a million times. It's in this kind of post-apocalyptic world where humans are trying to survive and the war is ongoing. And I think that's probably the better way to go forward with the franchise anyway, if it's not dead. But whoever made this game, I can't remember the name of the developers now, but give them more money, give them more time, and I think we have a proper AAA sequel from this.
Well, I mean, that's the best way to go about it, though. Like, hearing about games by word of mouth recommendation. It's how Undertale got big,
Yeah. But a lot of people are probably not going to give this a chance based on them being born before. But seriously, there's no reason to worry.
Yeah, it's a lot harder though when people feel like a brand is like damaged goods. You know, like it's. I mean, there was a really bad period in the 90s, going back to Star Wars games, but like there was a bad period in the 90s where every Star Wars game was a bit crap, and it only really started coming out of its shell a bit once it started just focusing in on releasing trying to do proper experiences rather than just doing a bit of trying to do. It was a bit weird because it was like a bit backwards to what happened in the mid 2000s where they did a bit of everything and it worked really, really well. Like when they were trying to do like point and click adventures for droids and different and doing different games based around like base building and stuff like that, it just didn't work. But then they also brought out Dark Forces, which did work, and Dark Forces like lasted pretty much a decade in terms of games being released. You know, so it's one of those weird things where like, depending on like, unless you get really fortunate with a franchise, if people just go, well, this produces bad games all the time. Like Superman is a perfect example of it, where I mean, how many Superman games are there that are actually good? You know, like
Zero.
Yeah, and if you saw someone going, "Oh, there's going to be a new Superman game," now you go, I'll wait for gameplay footage and decide if I'm definitely not going to play it. Like,
well, you know, the only good kind of Superman game that I can think of is actually the fighting game, is the Injustice series. That's it.
Yep. But that's, I mean, like even then, that's like it's not really Superman experience.
No, exactly.
Like I know that there was a rumor that Rocksteady were going to do one for a while, but
in a word, guys, buy the Terminator game if you have a PS4. Yeah. You will love it. Honestly.
Yes, I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's good. And look, you know, if you're into like a Fallout good experience, you'll enjoy it too. But you know, definitely do. Switching gears a bit. Another thing I want to talk about, I touched on this last week briefly, is the glory of the Retro Flag GPI case. Right. So this is a case for Raspberry Pi Zero W, right? And that's basically a tiny Raspberry Pi that's about smaller than a credit. It's smaller than a credit card, smaller than, you know, it's tiny, right? And basically what it does is it takes that computer and makes it into a Game Boy, literally.
Okay.
Literally a Game Boy case, right? So you can run. You boot it up, turn it on, and you install the scripts to make sure it works and that kind of stuff. And then you have basically a Game Boy that can play everything, basically, up to a point. And yeah, this thing, man, it's about €70. And then with the Pi, it's what, 15, and then that's it. So, but for about €100, you can get this game system that you can carry in your pocket, and it's one of the most robust ones that I've found. Now, obviously, you have your phone, so you can do it, but this thing, for what it offers, is great. And online, there's people who've made their own versions. It's fully customizable, so you can get the base version, and then you can, like, you know, mess around with it. I've done that now with this build I'm using myself, and I just want to get the actual name of it. So there's a few of them you can get online if you search. The best places to do is to search Retro Flag GPI case builds on YouTube, and you'll get like a bunch of tutorials on how to do it and stuff like that. But just want to get the actual build that I'm using now. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so it's called the Magnus RC Supreme GPI version 2. That's the one I'm using at the moment, and
that's the one that uses the AA batteries for power.
It does. That's the only downside.
Oh, that's proper retro.
Yeah, that's the only downside. However, I got a bunch of rechargeable batteries, and they're charging 45 minutes, so I'm good.
That's class.
But
I've heard that the one that's based off the Game Boy Advance one uses like a lithium battery that's like installed in the back of it. So
oh really?
Yeah. So like,
is that out yet?
I've actually seen it, and it is out yet. It isn't out now, and I think you charge it off of USB-C, so it charges pretty quickly and just charges slowly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. it's weird though. Personally, I never liked the GBA.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. Are there any games on the Game Boy Color or Advance you'd be keen to play enough to get these machines?
No. The thing about it is, right, what I mean about I never liked the GBA feel. That's what I mean to say. The actual console I love. But I grew up with the Game Boy Advance. With the Game Boy Color. So this is actually the same size as a Game Boy Color. So it's perfect. But yeah, no. When the mod comes out for a lithium battery, I probably will change it up. But to be fair, you get a couple of chargeable batteries, man, and you're good to go. So yeah, it is what it is. But to answer your point, Cian, for academic purposes, if we were to say that theoretically these builds would have theoretical games or ROMs, if you will, that you could potentially play in an educational way. There's loads
proof of concept, Cian.
Exactly.
We're only talking about having a thesis, trying to prove the thesis that it is possible to have sequential ROMs being used.
Exactly.
In a way that could interact with button input, and you'd be able to use this in a portable fashion.
Exactly. And
there's nothing sinister.
Purely speculatively, though.
Yeah.
And some of these builds online have everything ready to go as a proof of concept.
Yes.
So, like the software that RetroPie uses is called RetroPie. You can go GitHub and get it, and basically it just loads in all the emulators and sets it up, right? Because it's just an operating system that is on top of a Linux box.
You can then just marvel at the programming mastery that they have used and really just comprehend the level of academic prowess that's been put forward by these people.
Exactly.
To, emulate existing systems.
But what this opens up is pretty cool, because not only does this system play ROMs that exist, it also plays, and a lot of these packages include ROM hacks. So ROM hacks are games that exist from other games. So, one I discovered yesterday was God of War for the NES. which is a ROM hack of Castlevania 1.
I'm just imagining like Kratos in with little pixels and running around throwing his axe.
Literally, yeah. Well, he has the Blades of Athena, so it does actually work really, really well. And look, there's loads of them, like all the Sonic ones, Sonic Mega Mix and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really cool little system to have. But up until this point, I still, for the nostalgia of it and for the builds and the actual artistry that some of these people have done and the customization that you can do, it's actually a really, really, really nice little system that I would recommend, because it's very, very cheap. Honestly, for the time,
the amount of fun that you can get out of it, it's
€100 is cheaper than even the Game Boy was. Yeah. So it is quite a good investment. But on emulate, the best emulator in my opinion is still the original Xbox. That's the best emulator you can get. It plays everything, even Nintendo 64 perfectly. Or PSP Go. If you mod a PSP Go, theoretically, academically, of course, you would proof of concept have the best emulator on the market, but the battery life is pretty bad on those. That's the only thing. The battery life is about 2 hours. The battery life on this thing is about 4 or 5 hours. So, it's 2 dozen of one. So there you go. That's what that'd be my lock of the week.
Well, it's funny you bring that up now, because Stevie got me a Nintendo Switch for Christmas, and I've been stunned by the fact that all these next generation Final Fantasy games are on it together, 5 or 6 of them, and they're not even cracking half the memory. Gaming technology has just really quantum leaped in the last 5 years. Do you not think, in that respect?
Games aren't big, man. That's the thing. They're really not that big. Now they are. And it's one of the things that I hate about modern gaming is the fact that you come back from work or the gym or just being out, and you come home, you're like, right, I have exactly 90 minutes before I have to go to bed. Let's play a game. You turn it on. It needs to update. And you're like, oh, the heck with this. Like.
Yeah.
So it's kicking the nuts. Like, you're like, what do I do?
There's something painful about having a games console having to do software updates. Because this was like the whole reason why games consoles became popular. So
exactly.
Well, look, your PC has to get a software update, but our machine doesn't.
Yeah,
you're going.
That's
like,
it.
Okay, great. This makes sense now. And then, around the time of the Xbox 360 and PS3, you started seeing these updates come through, and it's just like, these are necessary, but it's necessary in a way that's inconvenient for me.
Yeah, like this is obnoxious. Where you buy a game and you spend €60 on the game or whatever, brand new game. Let's say it's AAA brand new game, and then you pop it in and it has a patch that's like 40 gigs.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, so I guess I won't be playing you today. Yeah. And it's fine if you're a kid or in college or like that. Heck, even if you're in college, you won't have time. But I mean, like, when you have a specific amount of time for this, and you're like, I should not have to download you to play you when you're not a PC or when you're on a disc. It should just work. Like, I get why it doesn't work, but that doesn't mean it's effective, and that doesn't mean that it's a good thing to happen. Yeah, it's frustration when you're trying to when you're trying to like just set aside time for it. Even with the way that games are now, like, I find increasingly that a lot of popular games are just actively wasting my time. Yeah, me too. That's why I don't like them. That's why I'm not a fan of it.
I mean, like, again, like I'm playing. Like, I'm not exactly playing games to kill time. I'm using it to like pass my time pleasantly. I don't necessarily see, but I don't necessarily see like open world games that are just going, well, arbitrarily. It's like, well, we don't trust you to explore the world, so you have to go to this place and kill, and you've got to go to this specific place on the map and take out this base. Or we don't trust you to go on the map, so you have to hunt for stuff. Or we don't trust you to go around the map, so you have to like find these items. And
literally every Ubisoft game since Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, but it's crept into other open world games as well. Like, I mean, that's Spider-Man and like Infamous and like a bunch of other open world games as well. I can't stand it. Like,
yeah. I hate the fact that that's happened, that's become a very, very popular thing. And it was for a very long time where every game had that. Every big game was, well, I know this is pretty much just going to be Assassin's Creed with a new coat of paint, or it's going to be Uncharted with a new coat of paint. And we're still not past it because they sell. But it's more just because, like, you haven't really got much options, right?
No, but I think as well, though, with a lot of, like the next kind of like swing of this is going to be, well, do you see how much like it's like Dark Souls? And it's like,
deliberately unpleasant.
Yeah.
Cuphead in 3D.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like when it comes to stuff like that, I just go like, oh, great. Like, so like, sure. Like Dark Souls is a wonderfully unique game, but not everything needs to be like Dark Souls. And
Look, here's the thing. When everything is Dark Souls, nothing is.
Yeah.
And that's the same with everything.
Well, I mean, that happened. That is what happened with Skyrim, though, wasn't it? It's Skyrim, but in the Wild West. It's Skyrim, but the future, that kind of thing.
No, I would say it's Assassin's Creed, but, somewhere else or whatever. And it's kind of the same kind of... It's just this kind of game design by committee. The biggest example of that was Watch Dogs. That's when I completely fell off the wagon with hype for a while after Watch Dogs. Then I got back on the wagon for Star Wars Fallen Order. I know I'm never getting back on that wagon again. You'd have to kill me to get back on that wagon.
Gonna the wagon, gonna paint it fire.
It'll be a bring out your dead wagon for me to get on that, because no way, never again.
I mean, I think that's like the thing, though. Like, I very much because like I've kind of fell off of the loop of gaming for a few years. So when I got back into it, I was already playing with paying for a backlog that was basically a generation long. So I've kind of just like my relationship now is very much one of what I would call a patient gamer, where like the like outside, like I'll maybe buy one new game a year. Like for this year, the only game I intend to buy brand new straight away as soon as it's released is Cyberpunk. And aside from that, I haven't seen a single game where I'm like, oh, I need that straight away.
Well, see, that's you hit the nail on the head there. Like, there's nothing that grabs you. You know, I find when I play a new game, I'm disappointed in it because I'm like, this is supposed to be the best that you have. And that's why when something comes out and it's actually decent, you're like, oh, wow. Like, for example, the new Doom is supposed to be incredible. And it will be, because the last Doom was great.
Yeah.
You know, the games that I've really enjoyed are, like, surprised me greatly. Like, one of the biggest games that in this generation that was just, you know, a must-play for me was Jurassic World Evolution. I played that for weeks.
What, really?
Weeks, yeah. I have all the DLC. I have all the achievements or the trophies. I'm like, except for the most recent DLC, I haven't got around to that. But yeah, man, that's the game I enjoyed most this generation.
Holy moly!
Yeah, I love my sim games.
Yeah. The game I enjoyed most.
That was the one with the like it was like a park simulator. Yeah, that one looked great.
Yeah, and it's made by the people who do the theme park simulators, like Team Roller Coaster and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, the actual name is it's not Roller Coaster Tycoon. It is, I have it here on my desktop. It is Planet Coaster. Yeah, and Planet Coaster's cool because, you know, you kind of do the same thing. But I got that for the PS4 and, you know, finished the game, finished the DLC. There's 2 more DLCs that came out, so I have to finish those. But it's just, you know, a well-made game that doesn't actively ruin your time, that, you know, it's everything that you kind of want. Nier Automata, I've really enjoyed, but that's an old game now at this point, and I picked it up this last year. So, you know, I think Brin, the way you're doing it makes more sense, where you're letting the games kind of distill.
Yeah, well, it's also a portion of just like one of the things that it's also just a portion of like kind of waiting to see how games play out, like, because I mean, like one of the things that I didn't buy the game, I got it as a present. I got Crash Team Racing for the Switch.
Right.
Oh yeah.
If it was me, I probably wouldn't have bought that game when it was released. It was just only I got a present of it. But within a week of me getting that game, they put microtransactions into it.
Yeah.
And that immediately
I heard that. Yeah.
I immediately would have been like, well, that's a no deal for me. Not getting it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and like Darragh can attest to this. Like for me, last generation, the best game for the PS, as part of the PS4 generation, best game I've played has been Fire Pro Wrestling World.
Yep, he plays it all the time.
Like literally all the time. It's just
all the time. It's his, like, you're on Steam, it pops up. It's like, oh, there you go. Look at him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, that's true.
But it's, I mean, that game, that game is just like, it's easy for me to play. But I mean, I think with, like, I remember like last Christmas I got Red Dead Redemption. Played the first 2 hours of the game and then immediately went, this is a 60-hour playthrough if I'm skimming. And like when you're getting that feeling 2 hours into a game of going, this is 60 hours if I'm skimming.
Yeah.
It's like, do I really want to commit that kind of time? Like,
and it's not even the commitment, it's the fact that, like, I find games like that, you can't get into them because they only get interesting after, 8 hours. And you're like, it's like, I don't have time for this. I have work tomorrow. Yeah. And it's just like, this is crazy. Like,
the difference though is like, people will go like, well, what about playing a role-playing game like Skyrim? Like, so, well, Skyrim's different because you play Skyrim for 2 hours and you're
in. Yeah.
By 2 hours in, you've gone to, you're pretty much at Dragon's Reach at that point.
Yeah.
You're already about to fight your first dragon.
Yeah.
That's like 2 hours. Like, you get a good bit done. Like, Skyrim has, one of the best things about Skyrim is that while there is a lot of time that you will sink into the game, it's a game that you constantly feel like you're getting stuff done.
Like with Skyrim, you can sit there, you can bang through it all in 8 hours.
Yep.
Right. just bang through the story and get on. Or you can do what everybody else did and bang like 120 hours into it.
Yep.
I know people who have like almost a year in it, trying to, with all the Daedric armor and stuff, play every single day for a year.
I've never finished Skyrim because I just keep getting sidetracked.
Fair. But like when it's a unique thing like with Kingdom Come, which that's its whole gimmick, it's historical accuracy and it's great, and it needs to be praised for that. When it's done for like malicious reasons, then we need to kind of hold these on and stuff. It's just like that's poor game design.
Yeah, but it's also like.
Do you sorry to cut across you there, Brin? But do you wonder, like, because I remember hearing this theory that like Disney was trying to muscle into cinemas by only having like the Rise of Skywalker. What was the last one? Last Jedi, and it was 2.5 hours long. And the trade-off of a longer film is even though there's less screenings, it's also less time that another movie is playing and that someone could be going to see. Do you think game companies are designing games to be longer so that you're not going to another company?
Absolutely, what's happening with games as a service.
That we're touching on it. We're touching on two slightly different things there.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's the active approach of a game, right? But what I would say is, if it's a game that is online and you want to keep going, they want it to be the next Fortnite.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, if you look at like pretty much every big publisher has their what we would call their service game. Activision has Overwatch. Bungie has Destiny. EA tried to make Anthem thing, and that failed.
I was going to say which one had Anthem? Yeah,
EA had Anthem, and that failed pretty gloriously.
Oh God, help them! Apparently, they're not doing that roadmap anymore. Isn't that like? Don't people deserve their money back because they were promised like loads of extra content later on?
Because they would make an argument for them not deserving their money back, even though I would argue, say, well, you're saying it's a service when it suits you, and it's a good when it doesn't.
Like here's the thing, guys. I have a confession to make. I tried Fortnite 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Ooh.
And you know how far I got? The menu. The menu.
Why?
Because it confused me. I didn't know how to start the game. I felt like such a boomer. I was like, what? I've hit the start button. Why don't you work? And then I got annoyed and shut off the game.
It's so interesting because I teach young kids, like, you know, and half the class will be like, Fortnite, and the others will be like, no, what are you, stupid? No, Fortnite, and it's completely right down the middle. But, like, there's no middle ground of, like, Fortnite. It's either love it or hate it among the kids. It sounds like it made you feel old.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Because I don't know how the game starts. I don't know why it didn't start. It's just like, what is this? And why do people like it? And I'm like, you know, this is why we need to bring bullying back. Fortnite is why we need to bring bullying back.
Yeah.
Do you want me to like go to school and ask like the 7 to 9 year olds on how to get through that first menu?
No, they need to be bullied to stop playing Fortnite.
Are you sure you don't want to just like hire a 7-year-old Darragh so he can show you how to play Fortnite?
No, I don't want to play Fortnite. I'm done now. I'm done with it. I'm like
you know, South Park episode where it's like, how do you get a horse in Minecraft? Right?
No, see, Minecraft made sense. Minecraft was fine. It was like, this is cool. It's adult Lego. This thing, the game didn't start, and it's like, it's like these events. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just play the game, man. Come on, just hit the button. It's like, no. So yeah, this way,
the lobby, and you were just waiting, and you just went like, I can't wait any longer.
This is why kids are stupid. I'm sorry. No offense. But if your child plays Fortnite...
No offense! What are you talking about?
If your child plays Fortnite, take it off them and get them a PlayStation 2. When I have kids, I swear to God... When I have kids, I swear to God, there's no Fortnite. It's just not going to happen.
Also, you should remind them that no matter what anyone says, a 7-year-old's art is terrible.
Depends on the 7-year-old.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of what I said is in jest there, except for the fact that I thoroughly hate Fortnite, and yeah,
You couldn't start the game.
I couldn't start the game. I don't know why it didn't start.
Well, you know what? I'm going to propose an idea. Don't. Let's do a panel someday where we all try and play Fortnite on like the big projector screen.
So what? So hold on. So the three of us are just stuck there on the main menu going, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, and the crowd could offer up suggestions. It'd be great.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe my kid would be 7 by then, and she could show us.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so good.
It's just like these 3 grown men scratching their heads while she like sets it up.
Yeah. Like 3 grown men, 2 of which work in IT, and we can't start a game.
That's what I mean. It made no sense.
It just gets better and better.
It's like all the stuff.
So
all the stuff that should.
If you had to recommend Terminator or Fortnite, which one would you go with then?
If I had to recommend taking a bath in acid or getting the coronavirus or Fortnite, I'd recommend.
Or Fallen Order.
Oh. No, the coronavirus is still probably better than all of them, right?
Actually, speaking of the coronavirus, did either of you see the news going around that like the developers for Plague Inc., the board game and video game, were actively telling people not to play their games as an educational method for understanding the coronavirus?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Although to be fair, right, I watched Contagion last night and actually did properly scare myself again. I'm like, oh no, this is bad. But here's the thing. I actually love Plague Inc. Plague Inc. is a game that I play an awful lot. Like
Plague Inc. is great, but it's just very funny that they actually had to come out and make a statement.
Yeah, because Plague Inc. is actually very difficult, and the goal of the game is to not kill everybody, but your virus always usually does kill everybody. So they're probably like, oh god, this is just going to, this is going to scare a lot of people to think that everyone is going to die, because that's kind of what happens in Plague Inc. I've never actually completed the game because my virus always kills people. So, but I have got all the achievements for different combinations of it. But yeah, Plague Inc. is on sale now on the Chinese New Year Steam sale.
Ironic.
It's so funny at the same. It's so dark and funny. It's like, well, I appreciate this.
Like malicious irony.
Was that on purpose?
I hope so. It's super funny. But, fair play, lads. You made a great game, and now everybody's scared of it. So,
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't think we'll all die.
Well, that's a sign you've done something well right there.
Yeah, just my advice, don't watch Contagion.
I saw a great fake movie detail for Contagion where it's like Gwyneth Paltrow plays a patient who's dying of a virus and continues to die because she used goop products. Which is just perfect because all of her group products are just muck.
Yeah, didn't she release a candle recently? That's her.
Oh no! It goes out at 5 o'clock, lads.
Yeah. So we're gonna leave it there. But when I heard that, I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is going on?"
There's so many like weird products that even without going into the more risque things, like she had one for she had something for warding off vampires. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like.
At least that has some medical purposes.
What medical purposes? Many vampires.
Warding off vampires.
I'm gonna go to the group and have a look. Stupid.
Guys, if you want to laugh, the Goop Christmas ad that came out last month is the funniest thing ever. So a friend of mine sent it to me and said, "This isn't a parody. It's that bad." It's like. I've got to send it to you after this and do a full breakdown. It's the funniest thing I've seen in ages. You still there, guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up there now at the moment. That's
It's got like all the normal talking points, and then occasionally it will go, "You stare into the abyss," and it stares back, and all this kind of stuff. It's really strange.
Actually, while we're on a bit of a tangent, I did actually I do have to recommend another thing. So Sabrina season 3 came out.
Oh yeah, I saw it had some songs on it, didn't it?
Oh, and what you say, Bryn?
I heard it's terrible.
That's lies too. Fake news. Fake news. Okay, hold on. Terrible in what sense?
As in, like, the worst season of the 3.
In what sense? Because, like, there's merit to that, but in what sense?
I literally didn't hear more than that.
Okay, right.
Oh,
okay, here's the thing, right? It's not terrible. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it is very, very, very silly. Right? To the point of, it kind of has to be.
Yeah.
Because it's so dark that they level out with it being very, very silly. Right? So, they've now moved away from the Christianity devil stuff. And now they're with the pagans. And, you know, all that kind of stuff. But they're moving towards Lovecraftian terror now. So season 4 is all going to be about, and anyone who knows how the comics end, she marries Cthulhu, right? So I was trying to figure out...
What?
Yeah, that's what happens. So I was trying to figure out how this happens, and now they're doing it, they're setting it up. But when you introduce a concept of Lovecraftian eldritch horror, you kind of have to be a bit silly, right? So there was a lot of weirdness in this season, and I didn't hate it. I really enjoyed it. I binged it, actually. I enjoyed it so much. But I can totally see why this has lost people, because it's lost a lot of its like darkness. They put songs in it now, and I hate most of the songs because it's the terrible band. It's because they have a band now, and their band does really terrible covers of like really terrible songs, like Teenage Dirtbag and such. And you're like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And but then it goes back in. But then it goes back into just, you know, a regular show. She's a cheerleader now. I enjoyed the cheer songs. They were fun because it broke up the kind of dark elements of it. Like, she'll go and she'll drag someone to hell, and then they'll be doing cheerleading. You're like, this is kind of funny. You know? So I understand people saying this is the worst, but I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just different. And he kind of had to go this road because it's bits of it are just very dumb, but also in a good way. Like it's like Riverdale. You know, Riverdale's kind of dumb too, but it was never it never took itself as seriously as Sabrina did. And I think they kind of hit the balance now where they're like, right, well, we got to kind of transition a bit to get to where we're going. But you know, this is a series.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I tried watching the first episode of Riverdale and I couldn't figure out, is this silly or dumb on purpose?
Yeah.
Or is it talking down to me? I couldn't figure out which it was, you know?
No, it's 100% on purpose. It's trying to capture that tone. The first 2 seasons of Sabrina didn't have that. They were just straight up horror. Right? Straight up absolute like proper terror horror, particularly the first season. But because they're trying to work in more of this expanded universe and they're trying to like do crossover and stuff, they kind of have to have a matching tone, and this is the series that has the most tone matching to Riverdale to the rest of it. And I would say, look, in reality, the demo that these people are going for are not 30-year-old men. It's not.
What? Really? You don't say?
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing, right?
No.
Like the demo for My Little Pony is also not 30-year-old men, but you know, we have bronies. But I would say it's very, if you like the first 2 seasons and you want to see where it's going, be prepared for the singing, be prepared for the more Riverdale element of it. If you're a Riverdale fan and haven't seen Sabrina, get through the darkness of the first 2 seasons and you'll get out near the end. But I really appreciate what they do, and where it went and how it's going. So I really enjoyed it, and you know, when I watched the show, I'm like, I just want to know what's happening, you know. And I don't think the show is bad or insulting. It's kind of silly.
Well, I think like when most people say something's like the worst thing, they're mean in the confines of like whatever it's associated with. You know,
like dude, here's the thing. You know, people talking about saying, "Oh, it's the worst of the trades." Like, it couldn't go any darker.
Yeah.
You know, like where it was, it really couldn't. You know.
Yeah. The one like my own reservation with like with the show is that like it's the same creative team that works on the Arrowverse, and yes,
they do Arrowverse.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was the same team that do Glee.
Yeah, well, it was Greg Berlanti is like the guy who's behind the Arrowverse stuff,
right?
And historically, with in my opinion, anyway, with every it's something that I've seen with every Arrowverse show was first season is solid but flawed. Second season's the best season in the run, and then it just kind of falls off a cliff in terms of quality. And I felt like the first two seasons of Sabrina absolutely followed that same method. I watched the first season of Titans. I am literally not watching any more of Titans because of how the first season ended.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, no, you're going to do the exact same thing where it's going to be a really good season 2, and then this is going to fall off a cliff.
You know what? That's fair. But I wouldn't say it fell off a cliff by any stretch of imagination. It's just the thing is, this has a definitive ending. This is building to a definitive thing, right?
Yeah.
It's weird because it's the only series of TV that I can think of that resets its setting so quickly. That's the biggest flaw with it, right? Where, you know, season 1, she gets baptized, whatever, instantly resets in season 2. Builds up to her going to the academy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Instantly resets, and the same thing happens again. So it instantly resets where she has to go to hell and get her boyfriend back. They, you know, spoilers, they break up, and you know she ends up being queen of hell or whatever, and that's kind of the story. But it's like the very early part of the season completely resets all the stakes of the last season. So you're just sitting there going, okay, well, this was pointless, but.
Like for me anyway, with the Arrowverse stuff, that happened to me way too often.
Yeah,
I just find it unacceptable when a show basically goes like, "Oh, this entire thing we built a whole season up to doesn't matter," and I'm just like, "Well, fuck you."
Well, look, here's the thing: what this has gone.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the roadmap thing in Anthem, isn't it, to tie everything back together?
But Keane, the thing about it is the creative team, the people writing the show, are the same people who wrote the comics.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, then that's a slightly different then. Yeah.
So what I mean in that sense is this will only go maximum 5 seasons and then that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
So there isn't this, you know, protracted, long, drawn out 10 seasons of garbage. You know, because if it was, I'd be like, no, screw this. But they are building something, and I'd say, look, anyone who watched it, don't jump off the bandwagon just yet. Just wait for it.
Let the bandwagon come back.
Speaking of the bandwagon come back in the time we have left, Ken, I need to talk. I need you to talk about both of these things, and I don't understand why. So go. I liked
both of them. Yeah.
Right, go on.
Okay, well, I'll keep Doctor Who as brief as I can. It's hard to say. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
The episode, I mean.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, it's terrible. I would say I like her more.
Yeah,
I like Jodie Whittaker. I think they should just replace her with Jodie Whittaker.
That's the thing. We don't know if that's what they're building up to. It's hard to talk about this now because it's clearly a setup for what's going to happen in 5 years' time. So I don't want to jump to too many conclusions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the actor. I liked the way they brought her into it, even if it was kind of recycling a few ideas from earlier series. I liked seeing Captain Jack back again. I thought that was fantastic.
They should have kept him sticking around, though. That's the thing. Everybody likes Captain Jack.
Yeah, but I think Doctor Who, its strength is in every couple of years. Like you were saying about Sabrina, its strength is kind of in the way it reinvents itself every now and again.
Yeah.
So I think to some extent you need to kind of keep it a bit partitioned off.
I do understand that as well.
Do that. But it was nice to see him again, and I don't know, like I said in the review I put up on Geek Ireland, if every episode was like this, it'd be exhausting. But considering Jodie Whittaker has really gone out of its way to avoid legacy type things for the most part, it was fun for one episode. That's what I'd say.
Do you think the reviews on this have been terrible, and the ratings have also been pretty bad? And and I saw this. Do you think this is like a reaction to those?
Yeah, I think, well, that episode is Dan the Master being back in the start of the series. That is a huge reaction to the fact that people didn't like that there wasn't, Daleks every week and Ice Warriors. The series went out of its way to avoid bringing things back and just have new things. And I think that was a good decision because the Capaldi's run was very, very buried in lore to the point that it was bordering on inaccessible unless you were a fan already. A bit like, one of the other things we're talking about. Sorry, it's slipped my mind. But, I think, honestly, I think this, bar episode 3, I think this series is making the right decisions. The Tesla one last week was fantastic too. And, we had to keep pausing that episode last week with Captain Jack and the new Doctor and kind of trying to figure it out, but it never felt like they were winging it and making it up as they went along. So, yeah, I'm on board for where they're going. I like that they're having their cake and eating it too, as far as having a plot and having the standalone stories. Doctor Who's never quite managed that. So I'm on board to see where it's going. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, though, because you don't seem as impressed.
I do have to say something, Cian. I admire your resolute support of Doctor Who. I'm just like, the whole thing could be on fire and you could be like, it's fine, it's just a little warm, take your coat off. It is something that I'm like, fair play, because
Well, I see it's slightly different from Star Wars, which I know is where your heart and soul is. But Doctor Who's already been cancelled once. If it dies a death in the next Doctor's generation, 20 years, it'll come back. It's a show that's its premise is very resilient to, going off and now and again. This is the 13th, 14th now Doctor, 15th if you include John Hurt. I'm interested to see where it's going. And so far, I think Doctor Who's at its best when it's taking risks, even if it falls on its face. And that's always been my attitude with it. So if they keep doing that, I'm going to keep sticking around. The second they start doing what is it called? Rise of Skywalker, and start redoing stories from the classic era, beat for beat, with better special effects, that's when I'll check out.
That's a very fair point. And we have a lot of fun. I like to, pull stuff from the Fandom Menace because those guys just go off. So if anyone's wondering where I get my term from, it's usually from the Fandom Menace guys. But to be fair, the overreaction to that was an overreaction. I haven't been a fan of this series. I wasn't a fan of, but I liked it more than I like Peter Capaldi. I didn't like Peter Capaldi at all. He turned me off completely. I was like, I found it very cantankerous and, not. I think that age of Doctor Who is gone, right? But for me, and the concern I have with this as an outside observer of the show, without being a resolute fan or anything like that anymore, it's the rewriting of the lore and the retconning. So bringing in this new Doctor who we don't know. She is supposed to be the first Doctor, from my belief.
Well, actually, we don't. We don't have any clarification on that.
No, we don't.
She doesn't. She certainly would be. Yeah, but she doesn't know what a sonic screwdriver is. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So what I mean about this is, what it looks like, it's either going to be some kind of pocket dimension or whatever, or else it's going. And I would rather that. But if this is a rewrite where they're retconning this again to insert another Doctor, like the War Doctor made sense because it was 20 years in between.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, well, this makes sense. Gallifrey is gone, so where did it go? Right? So that made sense. But with this, it's like, okay, what's going on? Now, it also felt very much like the River Song stuff where I'm like, I've already seen this. Like, this is the same way, you know? I'm like, I've seen this before. So I didn't want to jump the shark too much, but I did want to have a bit of fun with you, Cian, because I have to, you know? It's just, it is.
Yeah, no. If you want to rile me up, Doctor Who's the way to my heart, like, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm still up. Yeah, I'm still cautiously optimistic, like, because they made a point of re-destroying Gallifrey after bringing it back in the start of the season, and then there were Gallifreyans in this story. So it's not going to be something obvious. And even if it is an earlier version, there weren't it originally in the lore back when the Fourth Doctor was the Fourth Doctor. It's often say there were earlier versions until they decided there weren't anymore. So. Yeah, very much. Doctor Who's very much kind of like one of those quilts that's made by like 15 people. They make it up as they go along, and as long as they're fairly consistent, I don't mind too much.
They do, and I'd say it's still too early to see what's going on. But danger, Will Robinson. I don't have the faith in. But look, I could be wrong in this. I hope I am. I don't want to see Doctor Who cancelled, but I have seen some people lose their what over, and I've been entertained. So I've been holding on to this since I saw it because I'm like, I need.
Where have you been? By the way, when I watch an episode, I write a review for Geek Ireland, and then I check the other press thing, like the Independent and whatever, who've done previews of it. Where do you find your reactions? Because the reactions I read are obviously different from the ones you're... Oh, I see.
Yeah, the Fandom Menace. Doomcock and Mega Random 19, that's who I watch, usually. So, whenever I'm checking out of a series, or else, Nerdrotic? Because I haven't got time to watch all these shows, so, But I do have to get your talk on what you'll
watch other people watch them?
Yeah, well, they're on in the background. They get upset for me.
Yeah.
All right. But you were missing last week, Cian. All right, to talk about Picard.
Yeah.
And me and Brin had a little talk about Star Trek. Didn't we, Brin?
We did.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna keep this brief because you still there, Brin?
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you have anything to say about Doctor Who?
I have absolutely nothing to say about Doctor Who except that I'm aware that it exists and will probably continue to do so.
Fair.
It definitely does exist. I can't argue with that with you.
Yeah, no, Doctor Who is one of those things I just never got into. I can count the number of episodes I've seen on one hand, and it's always been it's very I think the episodes I saw like maybe one episode with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, and I think the rest of the ones I saw were David Tennant.
Then we're talking like 10 years ago, like
exactly. And my feeling towards them was kind of the same as like the Kirk Star Trek episodes, where I enjoyed them, but I didn't feel like watching more. If that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair.
It's not TNG, so and
I'm going to let you, Brin, lead this question of Cian, because I'm going to recuse myself because I'm not a Trekkie.
Yeah. So
have at it, you guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Trekkie fan. I just really like TNG.
Yeah,
it's like my favorite version of Star Trek.
It's still my favorite. Yeah.
I've heard DS9 is really good, but I just can't be bothered. I know it has Colm Meaney, and that's where all the great Roddy Doyle Star Trek memes come from. But
yeah.
I still
Deep Space Nine's a funny one. Yeah,
I still haven't gotten around to watching Picard. But how did you find that?
Yeah, it's compared to Discovery, where it has lore stuff that's fairly shallow. Yeah. It feels like Picard is very much written by people who love or respect TNG, because there is so much of it and Star Trek lore in it immediately. Like, have you heard anything about it yet? Because I don't want to spoil too much.
I've heard little bits and pieces, but I wouldn't say I've heard anything like massive.
Yeah.
Mainly, I've been paying more attention to who's in it than what's in it, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. It's it's a slow burner, which I've got to say is a first for Star Trek as a whole. Like, it's very much just getting to know him again, seeing where he is 20 years on, slowly setting up how much has changed since the Next Generation ended. Like, and God, it's the episode gives him Patrick Stewart so much to do as in terms of acting. Like, the first 10 minutes or so are just him being interviewed for a TV thing, and he gives like his massive monologue about Dunkirk, and like you can tell Patrick Stewart must have a hand in the shaping of it. But it's really nice. The characters are great. It's not rushing through things. There's loads of TNG references if you know what they are, but if you don't, it's well set up. I've got to say, it's fantastic. Me and Stevie actually went back and watched it again, which we don't usually do with TV, you know?
Yeah, but I think especially with like Patrick Stewart, and if you just give him time to do his thing, it's just so enjoyable, man. Like, I mean, it was the same thing watching watching him in Logan, and you're just going, what the hell does this guy have to do to get awards? Like, you know, because he's good. Like,
well, I'm glad you brought up Logan, because it's very, if deliberately or not, it's very much Star Trek Logan, because it's him obviously in his late 70s, like, and the Federation, I won't give away too much plot, but the Federation, he has parted ways from it on very bad terms, and there's some dodgy stuff going on, and it's very much him trying to kind of find his way and get his groove back, and Data's involved, and it's just really, really good, and it doesn't talk down to you. There's barely any action in it. It's just like, it's a really good character piece.
That's awesome. But that's always been one of those things that's like been kind of funny about, like, especially with TNG, where it's like the Federation is good and pure except for certain individuals. Like, and it's always like these bad actors who are the problem.
Yeah. Well,
and like, you know, you go for DS9, and then there's a lot of bad actors, you know. Well,
I mean, when you've got like seasons of like 26 episodes a year, you're always going to get a few odd bad ones here and there, especially in science fiction, which tends to bring out the more animated actors than other genres, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what it is about sci-fi on TV, but it just attracts really good actors to do really weird parts. Like,
yeah. No, I completely agree. And like, you know, the cast, you've checked out the cast from this one, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's the cast across the board is stunning. Like, even apart from the returning characters, like, there's like, I don't know everyone, but like, I know Alison Pill from, you know, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She's in it as like a recurring character. They've got like all these kind of not big name actors, but like, I think they've actually got a fairly well-known Irish actor. It's one of the Romulan regulars in the show. Like, it's really impressive what they've done with it. I'm really hyped to see the next episode that's going out this week.
Yeah. Like, as well as that, it's just nice to see like so many of the TNG originals being back in some form or another. Like, I mean, you've got like the likes of Jonathan Frakes doing. He has like directing credits for a bunch of episodes as well.
Yeah,
and like,
well, in the trailer, him and Marina Sirtis are coming back as well. 7 of 9 as well.
That's just such a cool. Like, it's one of those things where I think it's because it's been so long since TNG originally that now it just feels like it's a really nice reunion kind of show. And
yeah, exactly. And like, actually, funnily enough, watching it the first time, there was a few references. Like, they mentioned Maddox from. Do you remember the episode where Data's put on trial for his own autonomy? Have you seen that one? So
that's such an unexpected thing to have as a callback.
Yeah, exactly. But then actually the episode itself, not to give away, but the first episode is about androids being outlawed. And like, you can go back to that episode from the original show and watch this new one, and there are so many little references you wouldn't notice unless you'd picked up of it and gone back. Same with like, they've got the Happy Picard Day banner up at one point. Like, there's loads and loads of, they've got holograms. That's a Voyager thing. Like, there's so many. It's clearly written by someone who loves it, but doesn't feel the need to show off, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's great though.
Even sorry to be tangenting, but even like the episode opens with a song like playing on the radio, and my brother pointed out that it's the last song that plays in Star Trek Nemesis, the last Next Generation film. So they've clearly either know their stuff or done their homework. Like, they're really putting in the work. Like,
yeah, possibly done both. That's
possibly, yeah.
Some of those are such interesting choices, though, for like things to do callbacks for. Because like, but again, like when you have that much of a wealth of material to pull from, it's kind of easier to kind of go, well, people might not remember this little nugget and kind of pull and bring it back. But yeah, like. I mean, with the way that like with the way that streaming is now, I think it's a lot easier to have shows like that where you can kind of just make them into effectively like just lore, like a lore point,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, do you remember this obscure note? Here you go again. Like,
yeah, exactly. But like, what I liked about this one is it's not just TNG who like the creative team seemed to respect all of Trek, because a huge plot point, not to give away too much, was that they had to do an exodus of Romulus because it got destroyed by a supernova, which was what the excuse was to launch those J.J. Abrams films back 10 years ago or whatever. So that's still canon, despite not needing to be, and they made an entire big plot point out of it. So they obviously care about all of Trek, and not just TNG, and even just TNG would have been enough, but that's still really impressive. Like, yeah,
but it's like they're just trying to kind of like tie everything together into being one cohesive thing. It's like it's like they're just trying to wrap it up as a nice little package.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, well, Brent, definitely get on to me as soon as you see it, because I definitely want to talk to you about it now, because I actually don't know anyone else who's seen it yet. I've been looking around trying to find someone, because it's on Amazon Prime and not everyone has it, like the way they have Netflix, you know.
It's just a shame. Amazon Prime is the best.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Oh, no, I never left. I just didn't want to be mean and not talk about stuff I have no interest in.
It's not as...
Well, I'll give you something... Sorry, you go on, Bryn.
Like, Amazon Prime is a really good streaming service and has a great selection of shows, but it's not as good a streaming service or has as good a selection of shows as what I can dig out of a very specific hat I have at home.
Fair.
So.
Fair. I do have to say one thing that I thought about when you guys were talking that made me get sick in my mouth a little bit. The fact that the Doctor refers to her companions as the fam. Every time that's said, I get a bit sick in my mouth. So
I get a bit sick in my mouth when anyone refers to anyone as fam.
Unironically, of course. If it's ironic, then it's fine. But yeah.
But isn't that like a Sheffield thing, though? Isn't that like kind of lingo from Sheffield?
No.
No? I thought that's what that was.
No, I think it's like trying to be hip with the kids. Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah.
Well, Capaldi turning up with the skateboard and the hat.
Exactly.
Actually, his costume kind of is that, and it still works. So what do I know?
Kind of is, yeah. Anyway, but I'm glad you. It was worth it, Cian, and it wasn't a disappointment, because I was kind of like, I hope he's not disappointed, because I know anytime I get hyped for something, I just get disappointed. So I'm glad to know that at least one of us isn't jaded.
Well, actually, funnily enough, Darragh, I know you're not a Trekkie, but I was thinking of you before, because it went out at midnight or something like that. It went out around that time. And myself and Stevie were like, and she's like, oh, do you not want to watch it? And I kept kind of making excuses and making other cups of tea, because in that Star Wars Force Awakens way, if it's not good, it makes Next Generation also less good.
Yeah.
So I was really, really nervous about it, you know?
Yeah, no, that was the thing that I was kind of like, oh, it's risky. Hopefully they don't ruin it. So it's
yeah. And look, I don't care if it ends up being bad by the end of the series, as long as it's made by people who care. That's all I want.
Well, that's the main thing. You know, I think that's the difference between what we got with Star Wars and what we got with pretty much everything else, where it's just made by committee and nobody cares and everybody got rich, except for the fans.
I think the one thing.
Did everyone get rich?
Oh yeah.
I think the one thing.
The Force Awakens made serious money.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really helps though with like, sure, like there's always like gamble with something that's like new to something you love, where like if you're like, there's only two things you can really hope for. Either one, it's really good, because then you can just add it to the other things that you really like, or you can hope that it's so bad that it makes everything else seem so much better and so much more special than it was. Anyway, then it's just kind of attached on like a limb that shouldn't be there. Like,
Yeah.
But it's like that's the only way to really think to really like. That's the only things you can really hope for with it is you're actually going to come away going, oh, this is really good, or go, oh man, this is so terrible, I don't even have to consider it anymore. Yeah. Basically what happened with like a bunch of the Alien sequels, whereas
Exactly.
it barely happened. Like it's Fever Dream, it doesn't count. Like,
Well, so see, look, and with the Terminator series to bring it back around.
Yeah.
But like, you want something to be either really good or really bad. If it's in the middle, that's worse because then it's just bland.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
it becomes an appendage rather than being, rather than being something noteworthy.
Exactly. Like, you want something to really be good or to really fail because then you can have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the Terminator is a perfect thing to talk about in that context then, because every time a new Terminator comes out, they act like it's the apology for the last one, and this one's going to be good.
Yeah,
and I feel like they keep doing that over and over,
It's like, no, guys, I swear, this time is going to be different.
Like, do you remember the first line of dialogue from The Force Awakens? It was something along the lines of, this is going to change things.
This will begin to make things right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so the new Jedi, whatever, Force Awakens things were like the apology for the prequels, and then it didn't go well, and they brought back the prequel stuff in The Rise of Skywalker as an apology for the... It's just like an endless loop.
Yeah. Now, for reference, I've seen The Force Awakens one time, angrily. So, and I remember that dialogue. So that's how much I hated it. I remember that dialogue.
It's better in the original Shakespeare.
Yeah. I hate those movies so much, man.
I mean, like, but the thing that's like, I think that's like one of the things that like is so irritating about about like J.J. Abrams films in general is that like he's never made a film I would consider to be great. He's made some properly good films.
The Mission Impossible one he made was actually fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Mission Impossible, yeah. Like I love all the Mission Impossible movies from when he took over.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the only one where I'm like, yeah, that's actually genuinely out of this world great.
I've read his Superman script. That was good too.
Oh, fair.
But again, this is like the thing about him making films, though. It's just like I find that the majority of his output is anywhere from solid to very solid, and I'm no more emphatic than about his work, the output of his work from that. But the problem with that being like the gamut of his quality is that you come away from his stuff going, there's nothing really wrong with it, but it's kind of like it's the same satisfaction you get from making a pretty decent ham sandwich. You're gonna have in your lifetime. Like it's not really like it's not gonna like you remember like you can remember just about every steak sandwich you've had in your life, but you probably don't remember every ham sandwich you've ever had.
No, it's a mystery box ham sandwich, so you don't know you're gonna get ham when you start, but by the time you figure it out, you're kind of okay with it.
Yeah,
fair.
You do find out what the origin of that mystery box ham sandwich
of the ham.
Like, and you just realize the mystery wasn't even special all along. And
you were trying to figure out who made that ham sandwich, and turned out it was you all along.
Yeah, just
written by J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh man. And on that note, gentlemen, we shall wrap it up for another week. So is there anything you guys want to plug before we skedaddle out of here?
Yeah, we're going to be at SureCon soon.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm really excited.
Don't know the deets yet, but we'll publish them on the Facebook as soon as we know ourselves.
Yes.
We hope it's going to be Sunday, is the panel. We hope
it better be, it better be Sunday, because if it's not Sunday, it's going to be Cian there on his own.
Yeah.
I will be dressed as a robot, possibly.
So at least go for that anyway.
Yeah, if you two can't make it, I'm going to put Stevie and Prim in the chairs and just see how we do.
Well, see here. Wait, hang on. On Sunday, yeah. On Saturday, I'm going to be in Lisburn, so I could Skype in, but would be very difficult.
Yeah.
So
I think we may need to get some potted plants and put a paper plate with drawings of our faces on it.
What? Like when Homer like makes his new plant wife when he gets kicked out of the house.
Exactly that.
You could just have like it just on a loop of Star Wars. Force Awakens bad. Fallen Order bad.
We're on episode 52. I've plenty of episodes to go back and make an hour's loop of you complaining about the Force Awakens. Just this episode alone has decent amount.
Amazing. But I don't have anything really to plug this week. Just to remind everybody that episode 2 of Stray Out Canto is on the feed.
Oh yeah, God, her first episode was amazing.
It was. I haven't had a chance to listen to the second episode yet, so I'm excited. I'm going to save that and check that out. Sorry, didn't even come across you, but like even the song picks and the stories she told, like that show's great crack. Check it out if you haven't already. Oh yeah, and it drops every Tuesday about 1 o'clock. So that's when that goes out. I remember our shows go out on Saturday at 5 p.m. in Phoenix, and straight after on our feed. Spotify, iTunes, NerdtoKnowMedia.com is our website where you can keep us all up to date. Brin, is there anything you want to plug before we finish up?
No, I have nothing. You guys kind of covered the major plugs I had. So yeah, just make sure you go over to NerdtoKnowMedia.com.
Great. All right, guys, we'll be back next week here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.